Fred's still on the board though, right? For Mountain?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
When is Chick-fil-A gonna start? That's gonna be right behind Chipotle, right? Yeah.
Yeah, something else on there now
Seems
too.
tight.
Coffee?
Yeah, some coffee. What's it called?
Seven Brew.
Seven Brew, okay.
They're neat looking buildings,
Yeah,
small.
I came in this weekend and they were actually backed up on the highway. And I thought, oh my word, what's going on? And I thought it was an accident, but it wasn't, it was just backed up. It was like 10:30.
Today?
No, on Sunday, I went to Sam's.
Oh,
Maybe we
Yeah.
can get them back up far enough where you might be able to get some business in the west end.
Yeah, yeah, well, geez, thank you, yeah. No, but I heard they're gonna make that another, one more lane there too.
That's what we're looking
That's
to,
what they-
yeah,
yeah.
that's what we're looking to.
Sherry, you ready?
Oh, we'll see.
Here, it's till 5:30. I'd like to call the Board of Directors for Safer in order. We could all stand for pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Welcome to Spectators, audience, or on, we have all those people vetted that are on.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. If you could take roll, Chair.
Cronin,
Here.
Holden,
Here.
Langenheim,
Here,
Maloney,
Here.
Opal.
here.
All here and accounted for. B, of correspondence comments from the public on issues of matters which the Safer Board of Directors has oversight over. The comments from the public, anybody online? Anybody online? Third time, anybody online? Nobody online? C, consent items. Number 4, approval of prior meeting minutes, April 8th, 2025 and June 2nd, 2025. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Opal,
Second.
second by Cronin. Anyone have any questions, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 5, approval of expenditures and receipts, April and May of 2025.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Cronin.
Any discussion?
Oh, we need a second.
Well,
to get on the board.
I'll second.
Second by Opal. Now on the discussion.
Just out of curiosity,
Mhm.
just so I'm, because I'm new, would like to know the mattress purchase for $5,000 roughly.
Mhm.
What kind of mattresses do we get?
These came from Verlo, and that was for, what, 13,
12 to 14.
Bunch of them, yeah, it said one, and I was like, holy
Oh,
smokes,
no.
perfect, thank you.
12 to 14
It
mattresses.
was all of them for both stations.
Yes, they make specific mattresses for firefighters. We get, they have a discount program, so they're,
Are they actually any good?
yeah,
Yeah.
the quality.
I mean, you can spend $6,000 for one,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know?
so we bought some new mattresses, like, within the last 6 months that just didn't do well.
Okay.
And the build quality on these are far superior, and they were the same cost as those other discount mattresses.
Good job.
The guys like them much better.
Yeah,
They had
good job.
several compliments.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. D, business items, election of Safer Board of Directors, Chair and Vice Chair. So we do, and then, wait a minute, what do we have to do at our board? No, we did ours, right? Okay, got it, okay. So this board right here has to elect a chair and a vice chair. Who wants to make nominations?
Well, I nominate Mark Maloney for chair.
We're not gonna rotate. This is the three.
Well,
No, it's okay.
If you want me
I'm
to,
fine.
if
No,
you
I'm
want me
fine.
to, I will.
But whenever you want to, I want you to do that, okay? I'm fine with it, I'm fine.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Opal and a second by Cronin to elect Maloney. And I have to suffer through this another year. Any discussion on Maloney?
Because you
Hearing,
didn't bring the.
yeah, I know, it's because I didn't bring the guac, darn it. So with no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Now vice chair.
I make a motion to elect Al Opal as vice chair.
A motion by Cronin to elect Al Opal as vice chair. Is there a second? Second by Keith Lanahan. Any discussion? Everybody likes him. Don't make fun of him. Don't make fun of that. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Election at-large fire commissioner. So, the commission at large would be, that's Dave Phelps, right?
Correct.
Okay, yep. So, we would put on Dave Phelps from the town of, wait, right?
On the west.
Oh, commissioner, yes. Election at large is Dave Phelps. He's now the current chair of the town of Weston. Would anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move.
So,
Second, a motion by Opal, second by
Colden.
Cold, yeah, it was cold in here, but not here. So we have a motion and a second by Opal and Colden. Any more in discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 8, election of at-large board of director.
Well, I'd like to move for Keith.
Yep.
If he's willing to do it.
And I'll second that. So we have a motion by Opal and a second by Maloney to make Keith Lonahan be the the at-large board of director. That's a must, so you have to. And anything on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
I have a quick question.
You should have asked it then.
Sorry, going back to expenditures
Go
and
ahead.
receipts.
Okay,
Page 33 under safer expenses, chief, insurance, public liability, we're still showing that we're at like 200% of budget. Is that correct?
Well, it's just that the lines aren't exactly right there. It's not at all the correct insurance lines. We just haven't moved it yet.
Okay. But we're still on track. We didn't have like a.
No.
Okay.
No.
I think I asked that last time, but I just wanted to be
Yeah,
on
no,
the
no,
safe side.
no catastrophic issues.
Okay.
okay, good. All right, number 9, discussion and possible action on use of fund balance to purchase radio.
There should be a memo in here that
Page 30.
Page 30
On the backside.
on the back side, yeah.
So,
Paper.
Station 2 has kind of a radio room, I guess I would say. It's a little bit different than the way this station is set up. And us, and then in conjunction with EMPD, when they were there, there was several radios that were in a rack, and they went out to a large antenna outside of the building. The radio that feeds our side of the building failed, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, actually. Mark Meyer is one of our battalion chiefs. I'm not sure if he's on there, doesn't look like it. He's a little bit of a radio person, and he did some work to it. He called Baycom in Green Bay. That's who we worked with for our radios. Talked through some ways to try to resurrect it, I guess you could say, and it wouldn't come back to life. So they said that Baycom has the experience and the knowledge to be able to fix it. They said, but to obtain the parts is gonna be pretty difficult.
Yeah, it's gone.
They said maybe on eBay, but they said even on eBay, trying to find those parts is pretty difficult now. Motorola discontinued building parts and offering service for them about 10 years ago. So the price of a new radio is not cheap. Radios have become extremely expensive over the last several years. So the total cost for installation and for the radio itself is just shy of $25,000. Baycom said they may have estimated a little bit high on the installation because they couldn't come on site to take a look to see what they actually needed to do. So they said they probably are a little bit high on their installation estimate, but they wanted to be high instead of low. So, so that price may come in a little bit lower, but that's what they gave me for an estimate. So what we're asking to do, we had that fund balance that we carried over from 2024 to 2025. We'd like to use some of that money to replace this radio. And basically the way we have okay reception in this building with our portable radios, but the building in Weston, because of all the steel, if you're in that building, especially kind of deeper in the building, you have no reception there whatsoever. So we depend on that radio to be able to talk outside.
How much is in the fund balance?
$1.7 million or no,
Okay.
Totally, yeah.
total.
Is that what?
That's what the
That
capital.
includes capital, and so that includes
How much do you have in
$377,000 in capital.
Yeah, it's just shy of 4.
There's actually $65,000 of capital that is currently.
Yeah, so we have 65,000 of capital that is not set aside for anything. A big chunk of our capital is waiting for that ambulance that's coming the end of this year. But we have about 60 to 65,000, because we still don't have exact firm numbers on the ambulance. But about 60 to 65,000 CIP that would be left.
So this is just communication on site.
Yeah, so this is the biggest thing we honestly use this radio for is when dispatch tones us out.
Right.
The battalion chief can answer that they heard the page and that we're gonna send somebody, and then especially in the middle of the night, like sometimes they'll call us out, especially if it's a more significant call. They'll call us out and then like 20 or 30 seconds later, they'll call us to give us more information.
Right, right.
That's the main thing this one gets
Okay.
used for.
So it's just the on-site area of Station 2.
Correct.
Because I just thought this was actually very cheap.
Oh,
I couldn't understand why this was so inexpensive, and I still think it's actually quite inexpensive.
My response
Something like
was,
this.
that's a good thing I was sitting down when I.
Yeah,
opened it.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
It was more than I expected.
yeah. Well, I mean, look at how long we've lived along with something that's that old.
They do last a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but this could have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we put this out for quote at all, to anybody?
We didn't, and there's not many places, like, there is, Northway Communications in town, but Northway, it's hard to explain. They're just not quite as up with the newer stuff. They've kind of backed off a little bit on
And they're
what they
more
do.
expensive.
And they're usually more expensive.
They have
Um,
been quite a bit more expensive.
The only other company that we have worked with for radio stuff before is General Communications out of Milwaukee, but they're not a Motorola dealer. They're
Okay.
And we certainly could go out for bids, but in the past, Motorola has always been the cheapest, and I really wish Mark was on there, because I think Mark has us in some kind of a program with Motorola to get government direct pricing.
What kind of timing are we gonna get this? I mean, because right now we're offline.
He has a backup radio in there, kind of jerry-rigged right now.
Okay,
He said he thinks will last for a little while, but he said it could also, and the problem is if this one goes down, then we're completely dead
and
in the
then
water.
what kind of time span to get the product in?
It sounded like it would be just a couple weeks. It sounded like it'd be
That's
pretty
good.
quick.
This is also under the threshold for bids.
Good.
We have,
Yeah.
it's over $50,000 we need to get.
Do you have a question on where the funds should come?
No,
No? Okay.
I mean, I was just gonna comment, if you remember last year, we had a surplus in the operating funds that all got transferred over there, so there are excess funds in case of emergencies
Like
like
this.
that in there.
Okay.
So would you prefer to use the leftover CIP funds, or do you want to pull from fund balance?
It's all in fund balance,
It's all
because
in fund- it's
all
remember,
fund balance?
leftover was from 2024, so it rolled into the beginning 2025 fund balance.
Okay,
So
The operations portion of the fund balance is currently at 37%.
we also have contingency in Fund 15 of $15,000, but I mean, if we don't have to use that, I would just let that stay there.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a new radio system for an amount not to exceed $24,975.08.
Motion by Cronin to approve,
I'll second.
second by Opal. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 10, end of the month budget review.
So that is in your packet also. The biggest thing I want to point out is, if you look at our EMS revenue, we are ticking along pretty good there. We're at 41% of the year has passed, and we're at a little over 56% of revenue for the year. So we're just shy of $820,000. That pace may not continue because there were a couple deposits in there from EMSMC from, I think, catching up from last year. But the new company has been, the last 2 months, 2 or 3 months now, they've been right at or a little bit above, what we need to bring in every month.
Okay, are they communicating better?
Yeah,
That
we've,
is all I have.
we've been meeting with them. We've been meeting with them once a month. We'll probably dial that back a little bit now. I think we have stuff dialed in for Jessica, which she needs to get, for her monthly stuff. So yeah, it seems.
When will the transfer of the banking, remember, because the old one had the banking.
Yeah,
The new one should
99,
get it?
99.9% of that is done. There
Oh,
were
it is?
several accounts that had to be switched over, and I think we got a couple little small ones out there yet, but the vast majority, that Sharon did a ton of work with that, because it's
Okay,
difficult to get all, because a lot of it's governmental stuff, and you have to have multiple different ways that you have to show who you are, and, so it was a little bit of a long, drawn-out process, but I think we're finally there.
any other question? Just a review, doesn't have to get acted on, okay? All right, thank you. 11, any attorney referrals? I don't believe so, right? E, staff reports, report from the chief.
So the biggest thing I think is the interns. They are here. They started June 1st.
I heard we had a cookout.
We did have a cookout, which went well. It went very well.
Okay.
Most of our officer group was able to attend so they could meet their officers. Their families were invited. I think it went well. They got moved in and settled in pretty nicely. That side of the building, if you guys haven't, but if you guys want to come check it out, it turned out pretty good. We didn't do a ton of stuff, but we did some painting.
I was gonna say, did we paint?
Yeah, we painted the 3 offices, which are now their bedrooms basically, and then we painted that area where the secretaries kind of worked. And then we had K-Tech come in and clean the floors, which made a huge difference.
This left them carpeted, right?
Yeah, it's all the same
Okay.
stuff, it just got.
Changed door locks?
No, we worked with, Mountain Bay.
Okay.
We got all the keys there. We're struggling a little bit with the key fob system that's in there.
Oh, okay.
Because that was wired through CCIT and all their stuff is gone now. So I've been working a little bit with Nate and stuff like that, but it sounds like to get that resurrected and up and running might be expensive. So
Okay.
right now, we're just back to plain old keys.
I mean, I thought that'd be more inexpensive, and then I think the privacy issue. You know, the key fob, okay, who can get in my room? You know, what am I?
Yeah,
gonna do there?
so for their rooms, their individual rooms, they each have their own key.
Okay, good.
And Mark, again, one of our battalion chiefs kind of worked on that to get that all set up.
Mhm.
The only people that could really enter right into their rooms would be myself, Eric, and the battalion chiefs.
Okay.
And they're, I mean, obviously, we don't go in there, but we did tell them that we reserve the right to inspect their room if we ever think there's anything, like if they're storing whiskey in there or something like that. I have, from what I've seen from this group so far, I have zero concern with that. They seem to be a pretty responsible group of young men and women, so, they've had some interesting calls, the very first night, second night.
First night.
Well, first night on duty, that's right.
Very first night.
There was the fire in Hatley that had the, patients that were severely burned.
Yeah.
So one of them was on one of those calls,
Wow.
about 12 hours into their shift. So there was that, and then, last night we had a fairly significant motorcycle crash here in Red Mountain. And one of them was on that call as well, so, so they are definitely getting their feet wet very quick.
Yeah.
They're in the fast-paced EMT class at MTC, which I think seems to be going well also. Callie's been working with them. She spent some time with them today. So they're getting a lot of additional training that most EMT students would not.
Okay.
So,
So then there's like a shared room there too?
yeah, they have a
They can-
common area.
yeah, okay.
There's a couch and recliner in their TV.
Yep.
And then they have a kitchen. I call it more of a kitchenette, I guess I would say. They can cook and stuff, and everybody's significant cooking. They have to go upstairs and use our
Okay.
normal kitchen.
So that kitchenette would be just for the 3 interns?
Correct.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically
Refrigerator.
Katie's old break room.
Refrigerator too?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Any other questions? Or any?
Yeah, I don't think I really have anything else. I mean, Eric and I are working on the grant. Oh, yes, yeah, GEMT, thank you, I almost forgot about that. No, I can. I almost forgot about it because all I can think about right now is that grant. But, the GEMT stuff for 2023 is done and submitted. Our estimated payout is $55,000. So it's not a ton of money. It's not the 300,000 we were once told we would get. But 55 is something.
55.
Yeah, so, and then I have about 2 or 3 weeks left here to get the stuff in for 2024. So we did not get any of that money yet. We'll get that over the next several months. And then reporting, moving on, shouldn't be as bad, because now we know what we need. So, it shouldn't be too bad. And then you can talk about the grant if you want to.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Good, thank you. 13. Eric?
My reports are in there. I have 2 for the last 2 months. The biggest highlights are the grants that we're working on. Like the chief said, the GMT grant, we put in for a WPS grant. We're gonna try to purchase, it's a $2,000 grant. We're gonna purchase as many carbon monoxide detectors as we can and then disperse them among the public and run a program for carbon monoxide detectors. I have a call in to Kitty, the company, to see if we can get a better price on that. We are working on the SAFER grant, just some better numbers on the grant. Like we had spoken about at the meeting last week. They went back to the 2019 levels for the grant is what happened. The 100% reimbursement was like a COVID era thing that they did. So the numbers we have right now for the grant in total, it's, $2.77 plus million. Our portion of that is $1.04 plus million over the 3 years. The federal government, if we would get the grant, it'd be 1.67
I'm trying to look for it right now.
plus. We have the grant right now, I would say probably about 80% done. We've been working on it pretty hard. We're planning on finalizing and finishing it this week. We're gonna submit it to the IFF. They have, city members on the, review committee, that are in their grant department. So locals, we will work with our local to submit that to the IFF for review. So the reviewers get to look at it before they officially review it. And then they can send it back to us with suggestions, to make changes to, get a better chance of grant. A few things from that grant, we're asking for 9 personnel. Those 9 personnel, the biggest thing it'll do is it'll staff an engine at this station 24/7. We are held to the NFPA 1710 standard, which states that we have to have 16 firefighters on scene within 8 minutes. And our first engine is supposed to have 4 people on it and on scene within 4 minutes, which we really cannot do. We have 97 square miles and 2 stations. We would need, what do you think?
Many more stations.
10 stations to do that? Like, it's just not gonna happen. But I think we could potentially, get the 16 firefighters there with the auto aid agreements that the chief, secured this year. And with the grant, we should get 14 firefighters dispatched initially between Wausau, Riverside and ourselves. And then with myself and the chief and Marty responding to, I would say 95% of the calls we come to, we could maybe hit that 16 mark for NFPA.
8
So-
minutes, in 8 minutes.
Within 8 minutes. So that's kind of the benchmark that we're trying to hit, where the data right now in 2024, we hit that benchmark 0 times.
Okay.
In fact, in 2024, the most firefighters we had on scene was 11. So those
And that's
3.
with the
those-
auto aid.
And that's with the auto aid. So those 9 firefighters, if we can get them, I mean, any increase in staffing is really gonna help with that. Additionally, our hope is then going into 26 and beyond, if we can get the grant, we can also get our ISO rating back down to a previous level was at. We can work to get there. So that's kind of where we're at with the grant. Those are some harder numbers. We have the actual financial numbers in the grant now. Like I said, it's 2.77 million plus for the grant, and our portion is 1.04 plus.
Yeah, I got the numbers here, actually. It's, the total grant is $2,722,410. And we had, when we spoke before, I was using 100,000 per firefighter as our number. When we put the actual numbers to it, exact numbers, it came to $100,830. So we're right on mark.
One thing about the grant, just to be aware, so the grant does not cover overtime. We can't claim that. Firefighters who work if they work their regular schedule and don't take days off, or if they take days off in the right weeks, they basically get, it's 28 times 4.
Is that what it comes out to?
Yeah,
I thought it was 200,
12.
oh no, it's more, it's every 3 months.
like 224
It's like,
it comes
it's
out to or
it's
something.
200 hours of overtime a year, so we'll have to pay for that times 9. And it's only based on year 1. So over the 3 years of the grant, if the union negotiates increases in 27 and 28, the district would have to pay 100% of those increases. The grant doesn't adjust for increases. And the other thing we found out with the grant, it's a 3-year only, I shouldn't probably say this, it's a 3-year only grant, so there is no 4th year Like we had discussed,
You
you
don't have to
had to
keep them.
keep them for a fourth year, you do not have to keep them for a fourth year.
Well, we're not going into that with an intent.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know if some municipalities do that. I think that'd be terrible. But I guess it's good to know, you know, because we thought it had to go through 4, that we had to hold, you know, who knows what could happen.
They also eliminated the retention. There was a retention part of the grant where if you had, you know, we talked about it last week, where if you had, like termination dates set, you could put in for the grant to offset those termination dates and keep people on. They eliminated that. So it's
Okay.
strictly hiring.
Okay.
So we have to, they'll do audits and we have to show that right now we have 21 operational career firefighters. And we have to show that we'll have 30 operational firefighters, and we have to like submit names and rosters and stuff when we get audited.
How many safer grants would be awarded?
How many?
Yeah. Is this
So-
just one? Or-
No, so there's 324,
Well, I mean, the state.
yeah, so there's $324 million available.
Oh, okay.
That's a 10% decrease from 2023, there was 260, whatever. In 2020, FY 2023, of the 364 million available dollars, there were grants submitted that totaled $3.3 billion. There were 2,900 and some odd grants submitted and 96 grants awarded. So that's the competition.
Okay.
But the parameters we're under, I still think we have a really good chance. The big thing that hurts us is we're not gonna meet NFPA 1710. If we were going from 0 NFPA 1710, like we are, to meeting it 90% plus, like, I think we would be a shoo-in, we would get it for sure. Like if we, instead of asking for 9, if we asked for 12, and we would like put 4 on engines and whatnot. But I don't think that's necessarily feasible. That also increases our share. But I think we have a really good shot because we're going from 0 to, we estimate we'll meet 1710 about 50% of the time is what we're estimating. And that's still, that gets
It's a
us,
big step in the right
yeah, it's a
direction.
huge step and it gets us to, they have all these high, medium and low rankings and that gets us to that goes from a high need to a medium fix, if you will. So I still think we have a really good shot. Plus, we're asking for 0.08% of the grant funds, which they also look at how much, if we're asking for 50 guys and 20% of the grant funds, they usually throw those out too.
Does
I think we're-
multiple municipality department have anything? No, nothing.
We are,
Each department is
Some
just
of
a
the-
department.
some of the narratives that I'm writing, I have put some of that in there
Yeah.
where that both villages have tried to do the right thing by combining departments and then using, you know, ways to improve services. And I've thrown that in some of the narratives that I've written for it.
Good.
But I don't know how much that'll help. It certainly can't hurt.
Yeah.
I think it will. I think it will help because it shows that the municipalities are actively looking for alternative funding sources.
Mhm.
And we need to show alternative funding sources and what we've done to do that. So,
Yeah.
I think it helps.
Okay.
If I could just add 2 quick things that I forgot about. Number one, I just want to talk about that training tower that we built over in Weston 2 years ago now. That I haven't really talked about it since we built it. We have been using that frequently. And in fact, today, the crew that's on today, Red Shift, we bought just a simple propane heater and now we got a prop in there basically so that we can smoke it up. We have this heater running in there and our crews are able to go in and use their thermal imaging cameras to practice finding the fires. So actually, they sent me a video of it when they were training with it today. So, and we have railings put on now, so we will start doing tech rescue training off of it this summer. It's being used pretty frequently. They were doing ventilation training on it last week, so that building's being used a lot. It worked out pretty good, actually. And I also, when I met with Chief Briggs from Riverside about 3 weeks ago, I mentioned that to him and that invited them to use it anytime they want to,
Okay.
so.
Thank you.
And then the second thing is just so the board is aware, next week, I will be at the State Fire Chiefs Conference. I think Eric is going for a day as well. I'm gonna be on a board, or not a board, but a committee down there that is discussing fire districts for a class that they're having, so just in case anybody hears anything about that. myself and I think 5 other people in the state.
Two things, the hooks that we put into the new municipal center at Weston, those grappling hooks, whatever, did that ever happen?
No.
Did not, just didn't work out or couldn't work out or
It just never got done.
cause,
There was always discussion between, Keith and, the architect and the builder. And they just never got on the same page.
okay, could it still get done?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that.
I think what
You know, get
happened
Jamie
is
up to speed and, yeah,
there, NFPA has a very strict outline of what they have to meet. They have to be rated for at least 10,000 pounds.
Mhm.
And the vibe I got was that the architect either, I don't know if they want to stamp their name on that they said, yes, it's okay. I kind of got that vibe that they didn't want to say, yeah, it's good for 10,000 pounds. I'm not an engineer. I mean, engineers do stuff like that every single day. I wouldn't think it would have been that big of a deal, but it seemed like it was.
yeah,
So-
well, there's a, new sheriff in town, so should take a look at that, so we were just gonna put a training piece into the garage, so that they could scale a wall, and practice on it,
Mostly
not all the time,
Mostly in the winter.
just winter.
Yeah.
And, so I
It was-
thought it was a great idea.
It was by the HVAC room, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
The
up-
HVAC room
Yeah.
has like a double door that oversees the
Yeah.
garage and right in there on the floor, we would have put in the anchors, so
Yeah.
we could anchor in there and do stuff.
Yeah.
In the
I mean,
garage.
just, tell them how you use it and how often you use it and stuff like that, so. And the second thing is I see on here this Quick Trip grant. How many of those grants do they have? So how many, is it one grant?
I think they have a set number of money, and when the money's run out, then they're done.
Okay, so what does that mean? I mean, is that a porta tank on a truck? on a
Yeah.
vehicle?
Yeah, it's
It's on our,
And they supply what? What's the grant for?
they would give us the money to purchase that porta tank.
Holy man.
So,
But you'd have to have the vehicle.
yeah, we have.
so on our tender, we have a 3,000 gallon basket. So if we don't have hydrants, we dump the water in the basket. So we're trying to, that basket is
20 years old.
forever old, it's bent up, it's been patched a dozen plus
Mhm.
times,
Mhm.
and it needs replacement. So the chief put in for the Quick Trip grant to try to do that.
Where do they come into this? Is that because they're into gasoline containers? I mean,
No, they
well,
They do community grants.
Community grants.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty cool.
I heard about it from another chief.
Yeah.
so.
Tell them how many Quick Trips we have.
It was-
We got a lot of Quick Trips in our community.
It was
so-
extremely, the grant took me 20 minutes. It was extremely
good.
easy to do,
Good.
so.
They're usually lower dollar amounts.
They are lower
Yeah,
dollar amounts,
okay.
yes.
And the firehouse subs grant that comes out quarterly, we'll put in again,
I gotta tell you something about that too.
Okay.
so.
Got a quick question.
Yeah.
What was the issue with truck one that went in for a warranty repair?
It had 2 issues. The big one was that, it had a fairly significant water leak from the pipe that goes from the water tank to the pump. A weld failed. So that was that. The second issue was interesting. We were having issues getting it into pump gear. And, the direction we initially got was that's just the way they are. You have to do this, then do that, then do this, then do that, and then it'll go in gear. And my rebuttal to that is that on a fire scene, especially if it's a newer operator, it's asking a lot for somebody to remember all those steps in that order in the heat of the moment at 2:00 in the morning to make this pump work. And I said, it's a $1.4 million truck. We shouldn't have to do that. So after we argued about it a little bit, and Tech was looking at it and he's like, oh, there's 2 different ways that pump can be made. It can have a manual shift or they can be sent without a manual shift. Ours does not have a manual shift. But there's a little lever dangling on there for the manual shift lever. Well, that lever would sometimes fall down, and when the pump was trying to slide in gear, it would jam in there.
Oh, geez.
They zip tied it up and it hasn't been a problem since.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
So,
Wow.
that's fixed also with a zip tie.
What is zip tie?
I thought they removed it when it was in.
At least I don't
Yeah,
think
the
so.
word.
I was just curious.
The
My-
word
my-
jerry rig doesn't work so well here, you know.
That's where my mind went. It's a $1.4 million truck.
Right.
I
That's
mean,
why,
it seems odd that it was already in for repairs.
when they were here and they said that's just the way they are, I said, I said, I've been, and what, a couple of our engineers were out there too, I said, I've been doing this for well over 20 years now, and I said, I've never seen a truck do this before.
Well, that's
And
just
and they said, well, it happens all the time, and the other 2 guys that were out there said, I haven't seen it either. So,
Maybe buy a lot of zip ties.
so it's fixed. It's
Okay,
good news.
good stuff. Good couple of them. Yep. Mm, wow.
Did they charge you for the zip tie?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Yeah,
It's all warranty work.
okay.
yeah, well, okay, that's a cheap warranty word. All right, any more? Karen?
No, I mean, statistics and everything are in my report, and if anybody has any additional questions, I will do my best to answer them.
Okay. All right, moving on to remarks from the directors, Cronin,
I have nothing.
Pete?
I guess the consultant hasn't gotten back to the innovation study and mostly, so.
He told me it would be late June. So, yeah. we
He
must
said
have
like
2-3
the
weeks.
last week of June.
Okay.
Yeah, he said the grant was due July like third, like this. Well, there was something about submitting for the bigger grant,
Yeah,
like the deadline or whatever was like the first week of July, so he'd have this done right at the end of July, so we'd have like,
June.
right, June, so we have like a week to submit for the bigger grant if consolidation was gonna go forward, given this much time.
I'll see him next week. He's actually the moderator for that panel discussion thing at that conference I'm going to. So I'll see how close he is.
Okay. Al?
No,
Nothing? Colden? I got it. I think I've got it now. It's Colden. I got it. No problem. And for me, we gotta set up a date, for the next meeting and so that I can, well, we can do that after we adjourn. So nothing for me. Good work by everybody. I think a cookout would be in order. So, and, I will absolutely remember, Treat's next, meeting. So with that, looking for motion to adjourn
So,
by Lanahan,
second.
second by Colden. Anybody, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We are adjourned at 6:06. Next date, Sharon?
July eighth,
Yep, July 8th.
5:30.
Just take it.
I will be out of town.
That's less guacamole.
I will, if, what, really?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I'll bring it to you the next month. How's that?
All right,
So July 8th.
I'll be at about 27,000 feet, I hope.
Oh, okay. July 8th, is a Tuesday.
Doesn't count on it.
No,
What, you're not counting on the guac?
nope,
No
I'll be
guac.
shocked.
No guac for you.
I'll be totally surprised.
No guac for you.